Having a second passport and being a dual citizen or even a multiple citizen is a really important international diversification strategy to make sure that you're never at the mercy of just one country and that you always have options. But what if you don't have the option of doing a lot of traveling or spending a lot of time out of your home country? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 strategies for how you can work on a second passport without leaving your house. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Henderson, and if you'd like to learn more about how Nomad Capitalist helps 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs get their second passports, lower their taxes, go where they're treated best, go to nomadcapitalist.com. So I think a second passport is a really important tool in your offshore tool chest because it gives you options. We've got a lot of videos here in second passports. I won't really go into the why or the how or the different options, but I do want to talk to those of you who are busy running your business. Or for whatever reason you can't travel or spend extended periods of time overseas. And so there are 3 ways that came to mind when you can start with your citizenship from home. And that seems kind of weird because we're used to thinking that if you want to become a citizen of a country, you need to pack up all your stuff, put it on the truck, put it on the boat, move to another country, live there full time, learn the language, pay your taxes. And the reality is there are countries where you don't have to do that. So the first option is you should check your family tree. This is one when I'm working with folks personally and we want to get a second passport, we will go through a whole laundry list of questions that I tailor to them. And the area where I typically am the most surprised is when I ask people, do you have any ancestors who are from somewhere else? And I'm not talking about, 1629. I'm talking about parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, maybe even a 4th generation back. And this is the one where people often don't know they actually qualify for a second passport. If you have Irish grandparents, for example, or Italian great-grandparents, there are many caveats with what's called citizenship by descent. Just had someone the other day. His father literally gave birth to him a year too early, or else he would have qualified. Now he doesn't. There's lots of little gotchas like that. But one that people often miss, by the way, is their own parents. They're like, no ancestors. My dad's Canadian, right? Okay, maybe we can work with that. And so the cool thing about this is you often don't even need to travel to the country. Some countries like Italy, for example, you can speed up the process by spending some time there. Obviously, you want to double check before you go there what the tax ramifications of that are going to be, because a lot of these countries that do this citizenship by descent are in Europe, and they are not exactly tax-friendly countries. But you can do these processes most of the time from your local embassy or consulate. In the run-up to, I don't know if it was before or after Trump got elected in the U.S., there were stories about how folks were going and claiming their German citizenship, claiming their Italian citizenship, Irish citizenship at the embassies, at the consulates, New York, Washington, etc. And so you can do that. Some consulates, some embassies are better than others. Remember, we had one case where a guy wanted to move to one of these countries. He lived in Australia. It took us a month. We literally had to hire someone to call this embassy every day and sit around for an hour to finally get them to answer the phone. So you may not have the easiest time of it, but you don't have to travel. And some of these larger countries have a lot of consulates in countries like the United States or Canada, so you may not even need to go that far. So check your family tree, and you don't really need to travel for that one potentially. Number 2 is citizenship by investment. We've made numerous videos on this topic. The bottom line is you invest in a country, you get a citizenship. And while there are numerous ways to do that, such as what we call fast-track naturalization, there are also commoditized programs that anyone can take advantage of. Okay? The most common ones are in the Caribbean. There's 5 countries. They start at a $100,000 donation. Those are going to be the easiest because you do not have to travel to those countries at all to get your citizenship and to actually get your passport. They can actually pick it up and send it to you. And so while there is a good deal of paperwork involved, and we're always calling and tracking down people's elementary school transcripts to get that, it can pretty much all be done remotely. In fact, I trained my team on this several years ago when I went through the process and became a St. Lucian citizen, because we had to make so many phone calls and do so much paperwork, yet they did it while I was traveling all over the world, so they did it remotely. We packaged everything up, send it down to St. Lucia, they do the due diligence, Okay, you're a good person, you're not in trouble anywhere, and then, hey, you're approved. Here's your passport, send us the money. Now, some of the more investment-worthy citizenship by investment options like Turkey, for example, you do need to go there at some point because you're buying real estate. And so if you don't want to make a donation, then there may be a little bit of time on the ground, but you can usually delay that with powers of attorney to handle a lot of the process. If you're willing to make the actual investments sight unseen, you can really delay the time until you actually go there. So one citizenship by investment option with like a donation or a bond purchase, for example, that can be totally remote. The other one, you can spend very nominal time on the ground, sometimes just a couple of days. Turkey, Cyprus, etc. Malta being the one exception. They actually want you to be there for a little while. Antigua being an exception where you need to spend 5 days in the first 5 years. Okay, so that's not too substantial. The third option for getting a second passport through home comes to the way that we most frequently think about getting another passport, and that's naturalization. Here's the caveat, though. I coined the term paper residence, where unlike the United States or Germany or Australia, where if you want to be a resident or have a green card in that country, you've got to live there or else you lose it. All right? You've got to live there or else you'll never become a citizen. 6 months a year, 9 months a year, 10 months a year, you can barely leave the country if you want to be a citizen of those countries. But there are other countries. And we don't talk about them that much here because out of fairness to folks who hire us, but also because whenever someone talks about one of them, they get inundated and they get shut down because, they close the program. But there are countries where, you can go set up a residence permit. Maybe that involves starting a small business or hiring someone. Maybe it involves buying some government bonds. Maybe it involves just showing you've got a salary. Or buying real estate. There's a number of different ways you can qualify for the residence. Once you get the residence, you may not need to spend any time there at all. And depending on how long that residence permit lasts, you may need to renew it once or twice or even not at all before you meet the naturalization period. So let's say the naturalization timeline is 4 years. You go and you get your residence permit, you renew it the next year, and then the first renewal lasts for 3 years. Well, now with one renewal, you have your 4 years. They don't require you to be there. After 4 years, you go back and apply for citizenship. Now, you can often start those processes, not in every country, but in some countries, with things like power of attorney, again. So, for example, if you go through the Colombia permanent residence process, I recently did that. You could theoretically buy a property by having your attorney or someone like Nomad Capitalist, go and find the property, show you, what's going on in the market, find you a good deal, send you the pictures, tell you about the neighborhood, etc. And then you give, let's say, an attorney power of attorney to sign and buy the property. You're sitting at home, you send the money. The same thing can be done if you're setting up a company or hiring someone or really any of these processes, buying bonds, opening a bank account, whatever. That can be done remotely. Worst case, again, you might need to go to your local consulate and show them some documents. And so you can delay the amount of time that you would need to go there. What you can often also do is start the actual process that once you have the qualifying asset or the qualifying investment or the qualifying thing that allows you to apply for residence, you can then give power of attorney for the attorney to go and apply for you, do an interview, that kind of thing. Or as I recently did for one residence program, you can just do the interview at your local embassy instead if you request. And so again, you're not really traveling in that case. Now for these programs, you'll generally need to go at some point and pick up an ID card or pick up a residence. But your residence generally starts, every country's different. But your residence generally starts the day that you're approved. So when I went into my local embassy to apply for permanent residence, the day that they give me the stamp of approval is the day my timeline for citizenship starts and the day my benefits of being a resident start. And then within, let's say, 6 months, generally, I can go to the country, collect my ID card, here I am. So every country is different. Actually, I'm going through a residence process right now where it's totally remote. It's like a remote country. But in general, you would need to go there eventually for this kind of system, and then you just need to start the clock rolling. But it's one way that at least you can buy yourself some time if you're really busy with your business and you just can't take time off. One thing I really believe in is that time will pass anyway. Okay, so look at your calendar, look at the date today, and then flip the calendar forward 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I can guarantee you that date is going to come eventually. You will either be a citizen of another country or multiple other countries by that date or not. So if you start the process today and you can get it done sooner by not having to be traveling a lot, then that date will come sooner for you and you'll have that second passport faster. Those are 3 ways that you can do it. I always want to hear your comments. Leave a comment below. What's your favorite second passport to get? What do you think about these ideas? I'd love to hear from you. And if you're looking to get a second passport, I'd love to personally help you do that. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.